This is the Objection podcast from March 7th, 2019, and I know you're like, wait, Kingdom Hearts again? Look, it was the third game in the series, so of course we're going to have a 3-part episode to go into all the details. That just makes sense.
We're still talking about it.
Yes.
I'm wearing the same clothes.
Me too.
Whoa.
Are all of us sweating profusely? You'll never know.
The answer is yes.
I'm actually kind of warm. I want to take the sweater off, but I can't
want
with
to take
the
mine off.
headphones.
The bottom
But I
right
can't.
corner is probably very sweaty.
Yes. That quadrant, sweat-tacular.
All down here. It's
Sweat Central.
Yeah.
So we've gone world by world. We've gone story beat by story beat. Now the final step is to go character by character and then review the whole thing and give our score. We've kind of touched on some of the characters that are related to the ending, but I still think there's some points we can talk about each, especially the major ones. So we're just going to dive into it, go character by character, start good, go bad by the end, which means we can't start with anybody else except our good boy Sora.
He's such a good boy in this game. He has such personality, and he actually has a character arc for once, and like emotions outside of just being happy all the time, and he's so fleshed out. I know it's
he has a personality.
Crazy. It only took them like 10, 12 games to figure it out, but they finally got there.
Well,
Sora is great.
How many games are we gonna have Sora be the least interesting character? Okay, maybe not least, but not the most in every game. A lot of times it's Riku, and then a lot of times it's, I would say a lot of people like Roxas in 2 more than Sora.
Yeah,
probably.
Me too.
So to have Sora actually be a person, and it's because he has like flaws or things he deals with now, I think, more than anything.
Here's my main argument too, is like he has some moments in 2, but all of them are tied to like Roxas inside of him.
Right.
Every time he has a little thing, like there's the spots where he's like crying because he's leaving the train station, or he's sad later in the game, and like they have the thing where they talk to the ghosts of Roxas and Nominate, whatever. Like those are all tied to somebody else. Here, even though he has some of those still, he has plenty of his own stuff. Plenty. A lot. Where was it all this time?
Yeah, I'm glad it's here. It's a little sad it took this long, but I'm like so glad that he's like the star of the show. I mean, as it should be. This is
it's his story, and it
really
deserved to be told that way. I'm glad that we got something on this third one, because
Imagine if it hadn't.
Oh my
gosh. One last journey with boring boy Sora.
I mean, honestly, I was expecting that, and so I probably would have been okay with it. Like,
probably, it's like, oh, this is just the status quo, but
Well,
I delivered so much.
Maybe he's always done this, but I feel like, and all the times he's getting made fun of, there wasn't like they're making fun of him and then he's laughing too. Everyone's making fun of him. He's like, yeah, laugh it up. It's pretty funny, huh?
He's so sarcastic. I love it.
Some sass and some salt.
He's a sassy boy,
and I like it.
He gives Donald shade at several points, and that dynamic's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his voice actor is, he's good.
I think this is the best that Haley's ever done with Sora.
Honestly,
I
think he did some of the best voice acting in this game.
Yeah,
easy.
He's up
really
there.
Good.
He's not the best. Well, actually, in this game, he might be the best.
I think he might be the best, just because there's a lot of range there for Sora to kind of go through, and I mean, I think he nailed it almost in every occasion.
Well, and this isn't exactly fair, but he also voiced Vanitas, and very menacing. Very, he did well there too.
Yeah,
so.
cool. He did.
That's cool.
Yeah,
yep.
He did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, awesome overall. We talked about some of the aspects of why we like him a lot in the last part too, but just in general, I mean, it's the most fun it's been to play as him. He's the best he has sounded. All of it just kind of comes to this complete package that I think is very well done overall.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of weird. I do agree. I think he's the best voice acted. It's hard because he's in there like 80 times more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of chances to show off his range, but I still think he's probably the best.
But to this point, the best actor in the series, I will maintain Jesse McCartney.
Yeah.
Seriously, and I mean it. And I know how ridiculous that sounds.
No, that doesn't sound ridiculous. I agree with that.
Really? I was like, I'm listening to 2 and to Days. We watched the movie, and I'm like, every time he delivers a line, it's just like, it's great. It's full of like emotion, or you know, even if it's just happy, like he just sells it so well. He cares about every line that he's reading off the thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think he did good here too, but again, I mean, he's not in it as much.
Yeah.
But even like his Ven, I didn't used to like Ven. I thought he was like an annoying spaz, and I really felt like, we'll get to him. But I even liked Ven in this game. Like I think his performance really helped. He toned it down. He wasn't so like happy.
I didn't mean to derail us, but it really was to show how I didn't always think Sora was the best, and now Haley Joel Osment I think was the best here.
Yeah, I think so.
I always thought, like, through 1 and 2, and granted, I didn't really play any other games, but, like, he just felt like he was the everyman character, and everyone else around him was much more fleshed out and full. And I accepted that because it does happen in certain, genres of manga, whatever. But, like, I really felt like this was his story, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and at no point has Sora been the best voice acted character, because in 1 it's Riku. We'll get to him.
Yeah, well, is he next? Because
No.
I had a really good segue.
Well, we'll put him next then, sure.
Yeah.
So my segue was, do you guys think, my theory is, are Sora and Riku like inversely like connected? Because the cooler
Yes.
Sora gets, the less cool Riku got.
What happened to him here?
I don't know.
I have a theory. Do you want to hear
What?
it? His story's done. And he had a great story and a really amazing arc that they spread over quite a few games. It finished in Dream Drop.
Yeah.
That was his story coming to a close. And so now he's here, but when you have a character who has come to peace with themselves and they're fully realized, they can exist, but they're sort of, it's rare that they're as interesting. Because they've done it. They've succeeded in what their goal was. And so now he's just...
Yeah, I still like him a lot. I mean,
Yeah, I
obviously
like
I'm
him.
biased. I like that in a way. I like that his story is done, but we kind of get a new, like, okay, well, what is he gonna like focus on now that he's like overcome the darkness and all that? Well, now he's gonna protect the people who matter to him, whether it's Sora
Yeah,
or Aqua.
sure.
And like, I liked that little arc. It's not even really an arc, but I liked the focus on like him prioritizing protecting people and being compassionate and empathetic.
But that was,
So,
to
I
me, that's
liked that.
because he got there. Like,
yeah, of
so
course.
when he's the last one standing in that scene,
Yeah.
that's emblematic of that.
Yeah.
That represents that. But I'm not saying Riku was terrible, but like
I wouldn't
as
go
Sora's
that far.
gotten way better,
He was stagnant.
yes, yeah.
He was completely stagnant, and I don't know. I was pretty torn because I'm a huge Riku fan, and I guess I just was really excited whenever I saw him on the screen. But after a while, I was like, he's done nothing this entire time. It's like, it just felt like even the plot was stagnant with him. It's just like, we're gonna keep looking for Aqua. I'm like, this is so boring. Like
That was
he
the
didn't
other
have a lot to
issue
do.
for me, was like it was the plot's fault, and I didn't hate the idea that okay, they're searching for Aqua, but it was like going out on another recon for Aqua, and it was like, it's so clearly a way to keep them busy. It's not like they ever were making any progress. They were just there. They didn't know what to do with them.
It's one more reason why if you had moved up the Aqua thing to in between the second tier of worlds instead of cramming it at the end, it would have helped.
Yeah.
Because some of the best moments for Riku was, and this is very small, when he would interact with Namine. Because I'm like, oh yeah, they do have a history. And that's cute. And I actually ship them the most.
Yeah, I actually like
for Riku. Not the most, but
Yeah.
for Riku, he's my pair.
Yeah, I
Him and
actually, well, it's
Namine.
funny because like that threw me for a loop at the end when he goes to get her. I'm like, wow, this is really cute. At first, I was like, wait, what? And then I remember that when I played Chain of Memories, I also shipped them because I like these two.
Chain
but
of
then
Memories, they're in
the Days,
yeah.
and like they have history together, and I like how they like complement each other. But then freaking 2 happened, and they shoved Roxas and Naminé down my throat, and I'm like, I don't like Roxas and Naminé together.
No one did rock. No way.
The game shoved Roxas and Naminé down our throats because the whole Sora Kairi parallel.
Yes.
Like, we'll be together every day as long as Sora and Kairi are together.
Sort of. But then Shion came out. And
Well, I know, but then
And
that's
that's when it blew things
afterwards.
up,
yeah.
Yeah, but then
that was
but we
after
didn't
that.
get
It
anything.
was.
Yeah, so like I was resigned to thinking that it was going to be Roxas and Naminé, and I'm happy it's not. But it did throw me for a loop at first. But
Quick aside. Namine and Riku, Axel and Kairi, unpopular one there, but that
Axel
one
and Issa.
is real.
Axel and Issa.
Honestly, I am not
Because
even
Roxas has
for
obviously moved on.
all this stupid shit about Riku and Sora, whatever. Honestly, Issa and Axel.
I mean, if you're
Legitimately.
yeah, no, they were great. I actually was like pleasantly surprised by all their scenes. I was like, these two are great.
That's what.
They have history together.
And when you know they have history, and you go back and you like watch Days.
Yes,
you're
all
like,
of that makes sense.
this
It makes
is
sense
interesting.
now, and I didn't expect
And
like
it's
them to
interesting
come
because
back
it's
to
a
it.
work superiority thing too, to bring it like to the real world. Like Issa's like a general or whatever, and Axel's like a pawn, but they have a history of like a friendship and a romance. So
Yes, they really do.
There's more with those two than Sora Riku. If you're on the Sora Riku boat, I'm sorry, but there wasn't a whole lot in 3 for you.
No, but then
No.
again, you
No.
have all the other games. You have Dream Drop. Have you seen Dream Drop?
Yeah,
That
Dream
game
Drop
is
gay.
I mean,
that's
yeah,
correct.
that's all right, but still, Sora and no one as of right now. We need a new love interest because they're trying for Sora Kairi. I get that.
I
but
didn't like
it's
it.
Kairi Axel. So.
Oof,
There's
it's
more
rough
there.
out there for Sora.
Yes, it is. And he's dead, so how's he going to get anybody now?
Sora's been
Yeah.
looking for his release since Kingdom Hearts 1. And
Yep,
has
he
not
still has not
happened
found
yet.
it, and now they took it away at the end of 3. The last thing I'll say on Riku is I actually thought his performance in the beginning was so flat that I didn't even know if it was still David Gallagher anymore.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
What happened?
I don't know.
I don't
I'm-
know what that was. If that was like bad voice direction or
Like, where's the
like.
spark?
Honestly,
And then
Where's
it
the-
got
where's the
better
kidding
later,
nature?
but yeah, it was weird.
Do you
That
want to know
first-
partially the problem is he's no longer brooding. And
Yeah.
seriously though, like I look at 2 or the Days because I just watched the Days movie, so it's going to influence a lot. Line delivery is similar, but he's so serious and mysterious, and it works. But when he's like happy and he's like, "Let's go," it no longer works for him.
He feels rudderless
Yeah.
in
I don't know if
plot
David.
and in direction.
Yeah, I don't know if David Gallagher is like bored now or down.
What
with
else does he have going on?
Yeah, I know. This is the best. This is the role of your career.
Seventh Heaven's been off the air for 17 years now. Donald
Yeah.
and Goofy.
Best they've ever been.
Yeah.
By a lot.
So good.
By
Not
a,
even close.
by a huge margin.
They have some moments in 2, but nowhere near this.
No, and and you think back to like when Goofy gets his head bashed in 2, and you're like, there's a part of it's like I almost want this because I want something interesting to happen with these side. Like this would almost be like Brave. When Donald collapses, I'm like, please don't let this.
I know, that was so good. He's like, Zeta Flare. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that?
It
That
was
is
great.
awesome. That was so
And
cool.
like Goofy knew. He knew what
yeah.
would happen
Yeah.
when Donald do that.
Don't do it, Donald.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
that was a
so
great moment.
good. It was
Even
so
like
good.
little things. I love when you do that thing in Pirates, and Goofy's like, I can't look. It's great.
They're so like they have so many funny lines, and like even the emotional stuff is super good with them too.
Yeah.
Like you all just feel like really good friends.
It
and
cannot
it's
be
awesome.
easy for Donald's voice actor to deliver a serious line in that voice.
I know.
But he does
I
it.
know.
And when he's sad, when Donald's sad, I'm never as sad as when Donald's sad. And he does the like rah, rah, rah. It's great.
Yeah,
It's great. And they're there together at the end
Good
which
choice.
is great.
a couple times. Like one for like that Trinity attack, but then it's like they're supporting him. Which again doesn't make sense because you clearly see Sora get bashed back, but then he's there. But whatever,
Don't
it's
worry
fine.
about that.
The sentiment is appreciated.
Yes.
Nomura
Yeah.
hand waves that away.
Yeah.
Well, from the high to the low, Mickey. My potentially least favorite character of the main crew in this game. I don't like his new voice. That's not the game's fault. It's been that way for a few years since the other voice actor passed away, unfortunately.
I didn't even know
Dislike
that,
his
but-
voice. Dislike his direction. He's
Yeah.
basically Yoda.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
basically Yoda.
Problematic.
Yeah, but like not as capable. So like,
Yeah, he's not as cool this time around. Like I remember Kingdom Hearts 2, Mickey was a badass, and
Yeah.
I was like, "You are really cool," and these games are the only reason why I like you. And now I'm like, I like that he and Riku are traveling together. They're like friends
Yeah.
and stuff, but
Sure.
like, there's too much that that Mickey does not disclose to everyone. Where I'm like, that's just like, why would you not tell anyone about this? And just
Yeah,
other
it's
little
kind of
things.
like weird Dumbledore syndrome too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things that you just like kept from everybody that would have been really useful. You're like, come on,
oh
dude.
yeah,
hmm
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, well, we're in this fight where we're all gonna die. I'm gonna cast Stopka, and Riku's like, no, save that for the final battle when it really counts. Well, what does he use in the final battle when it really counts?
Ultima.
Ultima. Guess what gets stopped with? Stopza. Thanks, Mickey. Good fucking contribution.
yeah.
And Ultima's cool and everything. Don't get me wrong, but it was like, why do we make a point of having him not do this then and then not do it later? Again, it's like Nomura doesn't connect these dots. The little stuff is what gets me.
Yeah.
Frustrated with him. Cool in 2, wasted in
Have
3.
we ever seen him use Ultima?
No. Well, you could tell him if he doesn't dream drop, but
Oh, okay.
No, he used to stop.
he uses,
Yeah,
he
he
uses
uses
the
stop.
he uses the stop magic there, and that's
Yeah.
why I know that's a reference to that. But otherwise, no. And
Yeah.
again, Ultima is like the huge Final Fantasy attack. It's a big deal when it shows up. It's kind of funny how flat it falls in 14 when it comes up, because it's supposed to be like, oh shit, Ultima. But then again, why don't use the stop magic? It's too taxing. Mickey never uses it. Great. Well, I'm glad we watched the same cutscene twice.
He took that advice to heart.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Don't
took it
use
a little
it.
too good.
Okay, I won't.
Okay, Riku senpai. Not a fan.
I liked. Yeah, I don't know.
And you could have had a story for Mickey because he was so involved in Birth by Sleep, and you actually see his progression from apprentice to fledgling to master, and now this could have been the big finale, and it wasn't. He was barely even. It's oh yeah, we have Mickey. What do you want to do with him? I don't know. Throw him somewhere in the fight.
His best moments are when he's just fighting with you.
Yeah.
With Riku and you in the end, and also with the 2 Riku fights, which are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Love the 2 Riku fights.
Yeah,
Mickey's
they're
there for
great.
one of them.
Yeah.
That's a good one for him too. That's it. Do we even need to talk about Kyrie?
I feel like
kind
we
of did a lot
already
before.
did. Yeah.
2 out of 10.
Wasted potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my biggest gripe. I'll be completely honest.
I was hoping that you would get to, at some point, even for one fight,
Play as her.
Kyrie.
Yep.
Well,
That's-
so here's what I posit as to I don't know why they didn't do this. Why didn't we maybe not open the game, but directly after the opening sequence, have you learn the controls with Axel and Kyrie?
Yeah.
Why didn't we do it?
You brought this up, and
could've-
it was smart. I like that they jumped into it the way they did. So in some ways, you would have slowed the pace there. But if there was ever a reason to do a tutorial thing, you could have checked in on their training with them then.
It was pretty firmly Sora's story, so I get you start right with him.
Yeah, well,
But this would have been, I mean,
the
I
counterpoint
would've
to that,
been
of
open
course, is Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, I mean,
We
sure.
spent 4.5 hours with Roxas in the beginning, so it's tough. I think there was some merit to that. I also thought they talk about how she and Axel are going to spar as the end of their training. I thought that would have been cool to see
know.
and or play. That could have been the one-off. Maybe you don't do the training with her, but you fight Axel, so you can see both of them in action. And that's the one time you fight as her. But hey, you can see how they've come. Nope, nothing.
And
Zero.
they have model sets because you fight alongside them. So why don't we get to actually play as them? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
And I've heard people say well, they'll probably do it in Final Mix because to be fair, both 1 and 2 added a lot of content, and it's side boss fights and fun stuff with those. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what we're judging this on.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't care, because Aqua, when we get to her down the road, I also love that fight with her. I would have loved to have done a couple little more one-offs with different characters.
I would have loved to fight with Roxas.
Yeah, once.
More than that, I would have liked to fight with Kyrie.
Once.
Yep.
All I need is once. Riku got 2, but yeah, he's the other main character. That would have been perfect. 2 with him, 1 with Aqua, 1 with Kyrie, then 1 with Roxas or Axel.
You correct me if I'm wrong. You never even fight alongside Kyrie.
Correct. Because of that whole thing we
Well,
talked about in the other part
yeah.
where they get trumped.
Don't you though? Because with Axel
You fight with her
and
for-
Kyrie against Shaun and Syx, right before
You fight with them for
you
1
get
health
them
bar.
back. Yeah, it's very short, but they are there.
Which
Okay.
the one thing I didn't like about the labyrinth part was start with all these people for 1 health bar, and then a cutscene where the main one, Xemnas, Ansem, etc., leaves. Then you fight the remainder. Felt jarring. That's the main example of why you're
Yeah.
fighting with them for all of 2 seconds, and then it's gone.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you do see it for a second though, and I remember that, but then it was kind of fleeting.
Yeah. So just very disappointed. Mickey, I think, is the worst, but I didn't have high expectations for him or care a lot. Kyrie, relative to expectation, the worst.
Sure. Yeah.
Axel, great character moments. I would have liked him to have done anything.
Yeah.
So I'm very torn with him because I love
Yeah.
his development and his interactions with a number of different characters. I'm also he did 0.
He did 0. I will say though, in every scene that he is in, he's kind of a scene stealer,
Yeah.
just by his character being as he is. But he needed something to do. Give him something else to do.
Yeah.
It was frustrating.
Well,
yeah.
and it, and I knew it was coming when it happened. I 100,000% knew it was coming. But when he was like, "Do you know how popular I am?" Which is great because it's totally meta.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he swings and the guy catches it and then shatters or something his keyblade.
But it's
Yeah.
fine later.
I don't know what
It's
happened
unclear.
there
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't really know.
And
either.
I was like, that's a little disappointing, especially because you guys don't know this, I don't think. In Dream Drop, he has the moment of the game. He comes in and ruins everybody's plans and is a complete badass. And then I don't know what happened here.
He's one of the main agents of chaos and Chain of Memories too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's backstabbing everybody right and left.
He has a lot to do into it. May not amount to much, but you see him interspersed through all sorts of stuff, kind of interjecting into stuff. And here, I mean, he has scenes, but
the issue was they didn't know what to do with these characters. So you have Kairi and Axel. And Kairi we've talked about. You have Axel training the whole game too.
Yeah.
And it feels like it was just a way to get him doing something off screen because the training doesn't amount to anything.
I know.
That's why I think the whole
everyone.
forest thing, like just have them trained in normal times, so at least we understand why they suck, or like maybe why they're not as advanced
Yeah,
as
but
some
Axel
of our other
shouldn't
people.
suck. But I get what you're. I agree with
Keyblade
you.
wielder. He's a new Keyblade.
Yeah,
wielder.
I mean that's true.
he doesn't have his cross chakram things anymore.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest complaint with the game, honestly, is that there's so much that happens off to the side, and I get that it's Sora's story, so I don't mind some excuses for this. But every single character on this list you can look at and be like, man. And that's why I'm upset. I wish they could have done a little more. Even the reunion scenes, I'm like, man, I wish I had like another minute with these three getting back together and just talking some, you know?
At least Axel is satisfying for me, for the most part, from like a character perspective. So like Mickey and Kairi is like what happened on every level.
Yeah.
At least Axel's still there. He still has good scenes. He still gets like a great ending.
Some closure.
He doesn't do a lot, which is disappointing, but like he's not
Agreed.
ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed, really. I guess I wasn't expecting him to do a ton because he's always kind of just been a side character as it is, a very popular one. But I wasn't really expecting him to like I don't know to have a huge like character arc. So I wasn't disappointed, but I can see why some people would be.
Yeah. Aqua. My favorite fight of the game is Anti-Aqua.
Love.
Now, I
That
took
moment was
all
really
of her
good.
when she split apart in like 8 pieces and was walking around just saying like the most depressing shit on the planet. I took all those as shots at Mickey, so I got a lot of extra enjoyment out of that because all of it really is true.
Yeah.
You abandoned me. I was alone for 10 years. You know, like all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, Mickey, she wasn't she?
That fight was the one, Shaun, that had the music
Pirate
that I was
Boat?
just like, oh my god.
Yeah, that fight for me too. The callback to the Birth by Sleep, and it's such an emotional song. The female singer, the way the fight's choreographed, the splitting up. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We've been waiting all game for this, and it pays off big. Now, I kind of agree, like, a couple of the other themes have good connections later, too, but I love that fight, and I love the fight as her against Vanitas. Both
that
really
was very good, too.
Really, really good. They happen within 10 minutes of each other, unfortunately.
And I care about her. I always thought she was okay. I care about her much more now than I ever did in Birth by Sleep because of what she's had to endure.
Yeah.
And now, fighting Vanitas in that moment was very emotionally charged, and she's responsible for so much of the current landscape.
Yep.
So to see her be brought back is really interesting.
We talked kind of about some of the other emotional moments. Low key, one of my favorites is when she's just on the beach on Destiny Islands, and she is in tears because she's finally out of the world of darkness.
And she's like, "Oh, when did Destiny Island fall?" You're like, "No, girl,
The realm
you're
of
here."
Yeah.
I cried. I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah.
Like, that was just her getting out of the hell she had been in. She hasn't even resolved the whole Ven or Terra thing yet. That's down the road, and even then, she's just overwhelmed. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff there. It's a little disappointing that she's kind of neutered by the end, but again, you can sort of explain that because of the way the pacing was, and, like, she's just recovered, blah, 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 whatever. So, overall, I'm pretty happy with her. At least we have one female character doing something useful.
Yeah.
I loved her.
It's the best
she was
voice acting
great.
she's ever had, too.
Correct? Because she sounds kind of
like-
bored in Birth by Sleep.
Yeah. Yes, she
Yep.
figured it out, I think, in the fragmentary passage, and then even better here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Awesome
She was really
overall.
good.
Yeah.
Really happy with it. Again, not her game. She got enough play. Great. I'm going to combine Ventus and Terra because neither one is really here that long, so let's get into the other BBS folks.
It's the best they've ever been, too.
Correct?
Yep.
By a lot. And I would say especially Terra, because he, maybe in my head, I remember him as like the Anakin sort of stand-in, so maybe hate him even more. I did not like him at all in Birth by Sleep. And I thought he was cool here.
Yeah.
Again, when he's had to endure something, so like I'm with him a little more, and I thought it was interesting. And Ven was a little more mature, a little more thoughtful, it seemed like, and I like that better as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so it was
liked him.
cute when they got all together.
Small little adjustments, but good overall.
Ven looking at them looking at each other and being like, "Hey,
Yeah, I know.
you look exactly like me." That was nice.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. They acknowledge it.
And the protection of each other in the scene that happens in the labyrinth is really good.
Oh yeah.
Also, that was really cool that the Guardian was Terra, because that's been a theory since Dream Drop. So the fact that actually came through, I was like, whoa, people were right. That's awesome.
That's
Wait,
a
what
neat
do you mean
one.
the Guardian?
The Guardian,
He's
the
the heartless
dude that always is
yeah.
behind Ants in the Secret Darkness. Yeah, it's been a theory for a long time, but like now it was actually a thing. And I'm like,
that's
that is
cool.
really cool.
Which means in theory that's the same guy who's blocking you in Kingdom Hearts 1, but Kingdom Hearts 1 had no idea any of this was going to happen, so we won't talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, good stuff for both of them. The other two members of a trio that came back, we already touched on some, but still worth pointing out again, Roxas and Shaun. Just
So good.
like fingertips. Just
So good. So good.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
Great.
loved. I just watched
Yeah.
a 3.5-hour movie with Roxas and Shaun. I would not have minded. Maybe not right then, because I get there's a lot of stuff happening. This is the main. We talked about narrative thrust before. This was the only time it was thrusting. It was thrusting furiously
yes.
in this moment.
Robotically.
Yeah, so I get you don't want to maybe take the time there. I would have liked a little bit more,
little
but
more.
like, you know what? It was great.
Yeah.
And the fact that I went into this thinking, is Nomura going to throw a weird curve, because he will do that sometimes. He didn't. He kind of just played to the fans
Pretty
in
straight.
a lot of ways, and I was like, good, great.
I
They're all together. I love it.
At one point, I kind of
Yep.
thought, like, man, I wish these had been separated, but I actually thought they were really good together.
Yeah.
Them coming back at the same time actually made a lot of sense in a few different ways. So I thought, at first I was like, maybe they could have separated to give them more impact. I actually liked the way it was done.
And they were hugging and crying, and they just
So
love each other.
good.
And Roxas had a cool moment. I wanted so bad to fight as him in that fight, but
Me too.
alas, it was okay. I watched him dual wield his keyblades and
Yeah.
wreck
Yeah.
shit, so that was all right.
Sora still can't do that anymore, so
Yeah, which is strange, but that's
No.
fine.
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Maleficent and Pete I have on my list because we switched to villains. We talked about them. They're worthless.
Yeah.
They don't do anything.
It's embarrassing.
A dry
I don't know why they were in the game. I mean, again, other than the black box that doesn't pay off. So.
dry heave.
In
on
2, they have
Maleficent.
that kind of they have some cool nuance to their character. At some points, they're helping Sora because
Yeah.
they don't want any more like Heartless being killed. Pete has a couple moments where you can see why he's loyal to Maleficent. They have that cool last stand where they're surrounded by a whole bunch of
Yep.
enemies. Here, Pete's a bitch,
Yeah.
contributes nothing, and Maleficent just seems to have machinations going on that I guess are supposed to also tie to the mobile game.
Well, because the black box.
And there's a theory that she's this woman that's being spoken about in a scene where somebody goes back and explains to her like that there's like this it's like a powerful magic user or a witch. They call her something, and I believe they're referring to Maleficent. That's way too deep of a dive for that to matter to anybody, and they don't do anything. So
No.
Yeah, well, then there's Subject X in the secret reports. That is the woman that Isa and Lee were breaking into their organization, or at this point it was just a lab, I guess,
yeah, I think it's
headquarters
at
to
Radiant
find.
Garden. Yeah.
yeah,
You don't know who she is. There's some theories from the mobile game and from Union and all that.
it could be
Yeah.
Ava, it could be Strelitza. Who
Yeah,
knows?
right.
Yep,
Who are
no one
they? I
knows.
don't know yet.
Yeah.
So
It's the same thing
Yeah.
with the foreteller showing up in the extra scene. It's like if you haven't played the mobile game,
You're not going to know
but
who these
again,
are.
that is okay, because that's like, okay, we're at the end. We're
It's a
going to
secret
plant some
ending.
seeds and
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
before that, no.
Black Box and Maleficent. What the hell?
Yeah.
That was
No.
that was strange. That was legitimately, I thought, something to me. That's like, did something happen in the production?
Mm-hmm.
This was weird.
I have a note on here for Organization 13. We have touched on some of them off and on. I don't really need to go into the details of like Larxena, but
Best they've ever been for the most part. Luxord
Okay,
was
but can we talk about Demix?
best he's ever been too.
So funny.
I love how they just
Yeah.
leaned into the skit of him being useless, like fully
I
now.
know.
They
Yeah.
touched on it in 2, but now they're just like, yeah, forget him.
I actually wish, of all the characters, and I would much prefer to have a little bit more with Roxas, Shaun, all that. I would have liked a little bit more with so Demix, he does this thing, he helps out, but we never.
We never see him again.
It's
you know?
implied that it worked, and then we never see him again.
Yeah.
I know.
And I loved-
wanted some closure there.
Evan and Vexen, that was, I thought, actually pretty fascinating, and it
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So he was like a good guy who was trying to atone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, but because we never go back to him again.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
That
Yeah,
was
he's at the end helping Naminé wake up again. So I'm assuming
yeah,
that's
Yeah.
right.
all. I guess the closest to closure we get, but
But he's not invited
Yeah.
to Friendship Island Frisbee Day on Destiny Island.
no, he's
so
not.
Issa is.
They're a bunch of mean girls.
I know. He says there.
Dude,
I'm cool with
when
it.
they're all on the tower wearing like their street clothes, and then Issa shows up and he's looking hot.
I was like, what the hell was he wearing?
It's a good outfit.
Also,
thought it
one
was
of the gayest
funny.
things I've ever witnessed in my entire life.
It was so
I like that
funny.
a lot.
I love Shaun's normal outfit. It was
That's
so
Yeah,
cute.
they went on a double date on the tower.
Yes, that's
So that
correct.
was great.
And the main event was, of course, sea salt ice cream. 'Cause
Of
that's
course.
all that exists in that world.
It
And
was
you,
salty,
you get diabetes, but it's
but
fine.
sweet.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of, like I said, Luxord probably by far the best he's ever been. Had
Oh, yeah.
Instead of being just a pain in the ass boss fight, he actually had some layers, which was cool.
I like enemies where they're like, okay, you win, like here, and now like, or you win, but I'm gonna still back stab you. Like there's some sense of honor.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool.
They all kind of gave up in cool ways. Zigbar just fell off, so he didn't actually die, which is why he's in the ending, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah. I will say I loved all the stuff with the Labyrinth. Before that, I thought they were really just useless. We occasionally see somebody on each of the worlds. Their general purpose is to be like, well, Sora's doing what we want, but even if he
Yeah.
doesn't do what we want, we'll get what we want. And you're like, what?
I know.
Why?
I thought some of the placement for them was like for some of them was clever, like Dark Riku at
Yeah,
San Francisco. I thought like
Yeah.
the
That was
reason
cool.
he was there
Toy
was
Story
cool.
was good.
Vanitas being at the
Monstropolis. Yep.
Monstropolis, like I thought the reasoning was good.
Marluxia and Tangled's pretty good.
Yeah, like there was some good, like they actually justified them being there for the most part.
but well, like yes, but then also no. So like
Yeah.
why they were in that world, yes, but what the overall plot was,
Yeah.
it bothered me that the player knew that they were that Sora was just playing into their hands the whole time. At the very least, make it a reveal at the end, so I'm not like, great, I'm just doing exactly what they want. I know I'm doing what they want, and I can't do anything to control it. And then you also have this thing with like, just in case we have these other princesses of heart, like
Yeah.
That
backups,
didn't go
and you're like that.
anywhere. Yeah.
That was the thinnest of threads you were trying to justify like another plot, and it
It's
didn't work
bad.
at all.
No.
I don't even think they were trying to justify it as a plot. I think it was basically what they thought was going to be a reason to visit the worlds.
And yeah, and then wasn't.
It doesn't play
and-
that way at all.
No.
Yeah.
So, and
Last
I
one.
just bring that up now because that's pretty tied to the organization.
Yeah.
And
It is. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So the last one is the head of it, Xehanort. We talked on him some. By the way, and this isn't something they could really control other than making Kingdom Hearts 3 a little quicker. From what I've read, the idea was not to replace Leonard Nimoy with someone who sounded remotely like Leonard Nimoy, because let me tell you, this doesn't.
yeah.
This is like the villain from Blade Runner. So this was Nomura tying together
Rutger
sci-fi.
Hauer.
Yeah, this is sci-fi franchises because it was Star Wars and Star Trek with Hamill and Nimoy. And I'm like, okay, but now we have a character who sounds nothing like he used to, and the delivery frankly sucks. So what?
I thought the delivery was okay, but yeah, it
Like,
did not.
okay, Blade Runner, but you sacrifice the main villain of your final game.
Yeah, right.
Great.
There were moments where I thought he had good delivery, and then there were other times where I'm like, you sound really bored.
I agree. It wasn't all bad, but there was definitely way up and down.
I liked all. So I'm gonna tie in like many of the forms of Xehanort, and maybe this was more. I should have done this with the organization part. Xemnas. I don't like his voice. It's like way too stereotypical deep,
Yes.
but I think he's really interesting, and more so now.
Yeah.
Same with Zane the Heartless.
Ansem the
Ansem.
Seeker of Darkness
Ansem,
is
yeah.
really good now. Like I think his voice actor finally like mellowed
Yeah,
out, and I'm like,
finally.
good. You chilled, and I can tell, and
But
I actually like you
I
as
still
a
miss Billy Zane.
villain.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
Billy Zane, of course.
But
But
what are
like
you gonna
they
do?
like Missy, he has like a love-hate relationship with like Riku. That was interesting. So all that was cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Master Xehanort was Master Xehanort. You know, I liked the attempt at humanizing him. It was too late, but I
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
idea. I actually liked him. I like him and young Ericus.
Yeah.
That had so much potential, and it
The
was not really realized. But
Yeah, I agree. I liked all those scenes. I just wish they kind of went somewhere.
Yeah,
like
right.
I wish they paid off a little more in the end.
a little more. They do pay off, but yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been
Yeah,
Cool
could have been
intro.
so
sure.
cool.
yeah.
Here we are
Totally.
at the end of the road, more than 2 hours in. This is still not going to top what me and Jason did, but that's because Jason talks a lot. Hi, Jason. Overall scores. Now, obviously, it's not just going to
God.
be give it a score. You can give your overall impressions and the reasoning behind it, but we're going to look for what was bad, what was good, and ultimately what you're going to give it out of 10.
Michaela, you should go first, and Michelle next.
Okay.
first if you want to.
No, I
think
want
about it,
Michaela to go
Michaela.
first.
Why? Okay.
Because
No,
Dark-
if you need time to think, Michelle
mean,
can go first.
I'll just.
You've had all day
I'll
to think about this. We
spitball.
talked about this at lunch.
I know, but I'm still thinking.
Okay.
So good. There were so many parts of the game that were good for me. There were so many things that I wanted them to do that I think they did really well, like saving all the people who were connected to him and having those stories resolved in really good ways. Like a lot of the stuff with the main characters was really good. I mean, some less than others, but most of it was really good. Gameplay was so good. Like there were so many things that made 3 worth the wait for me. And it was just so satisfying to see it all come together.
Don't say it.
My heart wants me to give the game a 10.
Okay.
My brain is thinking probably like a 9.2. So I think I will go somewhere in the middle. Why did I do the math like this?
Yeah, just say 9.5.
The 9
We
point.
don't need 9.65.
Yeah,
9.6.
We're not IGN. Oh, God.
It's 9.6.
Too much water.
God
That's
damn
the
it.
math.
Well, at least I talked you out of a perfect 10 again on another game.
That's true. We
What was
have a
the last
non-10.
perfect 10? What did you give a perfect 10 to?
don't remember.
Stupid, whatever, those people ice skating.
Oh,
Someone's
Yuri
on ice.
Yes,
Yuri on ice.
That's
Yuri on
correct. I
ice.
did do that. Yeah, like 9.6. This game is super good. I have a couple of like little nitpicks, but it doesn't ruin the overall like just sheer joy I had playing the game.
All right,
So
Michelle.
So my computer is almost dead, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to run upstairs after and plug it back in.
Well, why don't you just
hopefully.
wait and go run now, and then I'll do mine.
But I don't want to miss you guys.
Okay. Then go fast.
How long is it
Okay.
going to take for you to run up?
Not very long, but I'm going to do this really quick. So,
It's a good time in.
okay, I came into this not really wanting to play the game. I think you guys remember we talked about this about a year and a half ago, and I was done with Kingdom Hearts. I didn't want to play it. I was pretty vocally opposed to the whole idea of 3 coming out. I thought that there was no way that they could successfully, complete this trilogy of games with all of like the other games kind of on the side. And I was frankly kind of annoyed that this was even a thing. I really liked it. I really did. I thought the worlds were really engaging and fun. I know we had nitpicks with some of them, but like overall, I thought they were going to be way worse than they were. I loved what they did with the characters, especially in like the final quarter of the game. It just felt like a love letter to my childhood in some ways. And yeah, I have nitpicks. Of course, we talked about them, but ultimately I found more joy in it than frustration. And for that reason, I have to give it like an 8.5.
I'm shocked that is an 8.5.
You thought
What do
lower?
you
I was
Wait.
expecting no higher than like a 7.5.
I thought 8.
Look, I'm weirdly defensive of this game, and I don't really know entirely why. I think it's better than a lot of people are claiming it is, and I think a lot of the complaints are not really justified. So I think kind of what we talked about were things that oh no, I'm going.
So what I will say is I think the
Very meta.
this is at least that's somewhat flattering.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
could have been
Could have been
worse.
frozen in a much worse
Yeah.
way. Check out the YouTube stream, objection.com/YouTube, whatever it is.
I feel like you guys frequent like corners of the internet that I like am not on, because a lot of what I've read is positive, and the sales. This I don't know if you guys have followed this at all.
Oh yeah, the
Huge.
sales
It's
are
by far the best,
huge.
and yeah, some of that is because it's dual platform now.
Even so.
But even in the lifetime, Kingdom Hearts 2 shipped, I think, 5 million. Already 3 has shipped 5 million.
Yeah. That's
and
only
even,
been, like,
even if you
not even a
restricted
month.
it to just one of the platforms, it would blow all the side games out of the water. All
Yeah.
those nestled somewhere around like 1.5, like Birth by
Yep.
Sleep, Days,
Yep.
Dream Drop, all were about 1.5-ish. This, even if you cut that in half, that's 2.5, and that's already. It would blow those out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is fans are really happy with, or I'm seeing the fans that are happy with it.
Yeah,
I
see them too. There are some stupid negative vocal people,
Well.
vocal minority.
I really compare it to like not to make this political, but like Trump got elected and everybody was like, there's no way that would happen. Black Panther, I remember when it was coming out, it got trashed like in the pre-reviews by people who a very vocal minority because it's hugely grossing and now it's the first Oscar nominated superhero movie. My point is I don't pay attention to that. And I think most fans are pretty happy with this. And they should be because I'll just segue into my review. It does so much really well. And it definitely has the low points. A couple worlds get boring, kind of a slog. Some of the story.
Well, here comes Michelle. I don't know if that's audible or not. I'll bring her in.
Some of the story beats are question marks, but like when it does so much so well, and this is the only game where I've cried. I don't cry a lot on stuff. There's a video game made me do it and made me do it more than once. Like that has to mean something to me, you know? And so I don't know. Between a 9 and a 9.5. I'll go 9.2 since we're doing that now.
There you go.
Excellent. Good. I've set a trend.
Michaela, you're the trailblazer. 9.2, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's really
very
high.
good.
I don't review games like you do. 9.2 for me is quite good.
No, that's a big deal. No, I just do it based on like joy.
And I did have a lot of joy.
It.
And when I finished the game, I felt like I had gone through like a journey.
Yeah.
And that's the best feeling. And almost like where I want to go back. And I won't yet. But like I read all the secret reports. I did all the battle gates. Like,
yeah.
I loved it.
I think Shaun and I both take this more seriously. I don't want to say than we should, but like I think we both think of ourselves as like reviewers who try to be critical on things. And so likewise, my score of enjoyment is higher than my score of what I'm actually going to give it. I love the fact that the game exists. I don't think it can be undersold, the fact that it's just nice that it came out finally after all this time, and even if it's not necessarily a true conclusion to everything, it's just the next step in the journey, and in almost every way it delivers. I have some fundamental issues that we've talked about over the span of the last 2 hours, most of which are relatively small, a couple of which are really big, the Naminé one, the Kairi one, and a couple of the bigger decision-making as far as the ending went. But damn, it was fun to play. The combat's great. It looks great overall. Sure, the Disney worlds don't connect, but have they ever, you know, to a certain degree, it's like certain things that are flaws per se, you've just come to expect of the series. Enjoyment-wise, it's a 9.5. But with a critical eye to it, from just some of the issues, and honestly, this is, to be very clear, the things that I've talked about that are like, I might have done a different direction or they could have done this, those are not things I will penalize a game for. So even with removing those from the equation, I'm still giving it exactly what Michelle did, an 8.5, because I think some of the overarching issues are so bad, and honestly, this should have been a 30 to 35 hour game. I just think after waiting 13 years, yes, there were other games in between, there's really no excuse for coming up short on some of these scenes or rushing to the finish like they did. I just don't think there is. Like, at this point, even if they'd had to move the date back, fine. Finish it then after waiting all this time. Because after 13 years, what's 2 months? So I'm disappointed in that.
I'm happy with an 8.5. I wonder if it was a Kojima Metal Gear Solid situation where they were like, no more.
That's it.
Like, we have moved it. It's been how many years since the last game? We are putting our foot down. You have to deliver by this date.
Yeah. It could
Which
be.
is unfortunate. But again, it doesn't matter what went into a game to make it the way that it was. I'm not giving you an excuse. At the end of it is what it is. But I'm curious about what led to that.
Yeah.
That's an aggregate 35.8, which is just shy of 9. That should be divided by 4 is like an 8.8 or whatever the hell. I don't want to do math at this hour. But it's just 8.9 something. It's just shy of a 9. I think that's pretty fair overall, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think so. A very fun, entertaining, emotionally satisfying, flawed, but not majorly flawed game.
I thought it was going to be incomprehensible. Truly.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was. And I want to go back and hear a conversation on the podcast about 1.5 years ago. I just remember how negative I was about even the prospect of the third game. And I thought it delivered in a lot of ways that matter a lot to me.
And that's what I think all of us truly brought a little bit of bias, or we allowed, the way it made us feel kind of. I think that's okay sometimes in a review.
Totally.
It's to say, when you watch this, it has problems, but it's it's joyous, it's fun, and it's emotionally moving, and that accounts for something.
It's the Citizen Kane issue, right? Citizen Kane is supposed to be this masterpiece, and you can talk about how it's out of date now, but just in general, I don't think it's fun to watch. I don't have any investment in it. I can sit there and go, well, this is critically amazing the way it's put together, but I don't care, so I wouldn't give it a high score. Whereas I'm going to overlook some of the flaws or issues or whatever in this game because I love it.
Right.
And I think that's fine. If you're emotionally invested, that counts for something. That's not just this thing that you remove from the equation.
Yep. Yeah, I agree completely. So, Kingdom Hearts 4, I am excited.
I am not.
No?
I'm excited about the prospect. I want to know, before I'm going to be excited, I want to know more than just a throwaway tease and a secret ending. I'm excited for the prospect of more, but we'll see.
I mean, I realistically or intellectually, I knew there was going to be more. This wasn't going to be the end and suddenly no more Kingdom Hearts because it's just too big of a franchise to ignore. But I was hoping for more closure in that way, and so I'm a little disappointed that we're just and this is just another in kind of a larger series. And but with that in mind, I have an open mind. I'm curious to see what they have in store. We'll see.
All right, any parting shots?
I just think it's interesting that a lot of us come from different backgrounds on this, and it means different times in our life. It means different things to different ones. We came from different places. Michelle, very negative. Michaela, extremely positive. Chris and I probably somewhere in the middle. And, we all had pretty positive things to say. So I think that speaks to the success of the game at large.
I want to strangle whoever made the nominating scene optional. I just want to choke the life out of them.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
As punishment for their bad decision making.
What almost bothers me is that there's no way to know. So if it's optional and then they tell you later, you're like, okay, I can always look it up later. Had you not told me, I would have never known.
I never would have known that either. That's also where I'm just like, okay.
I was legitimately so puzzled by that scene that I looked at after I beat the game. I wanted to beat it first to make sure I didn't spoil anything. I went and looked to see did I miss something? Did I could have screwed something up. I don't know. And as soon as I found out about that and saw the response of everybody in this thread and everybody on Twitter being like, "What?" That's when I immediately, as soon as you guys got past that point, went, "Did you get it?" And each time the answer was, "No, I had no idea."
Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me too. I thought I was talking about the ending at first. I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait.
Yeah,
what
Nominee
are you talking
showed
about?
up. No, she actually. There's a reason she's in the credits. She has a voiced scene. It's missable.
Yeah.
Great. Anyways, that's our mega review of Kingdom Hearts 3. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you stuck through all of it. We'd love to hear from you guys too, by the way, what you like, what you don't like. We'll interact in the comments and stuff. This is not just us talking at you. This is the thing that we all care about deeply, so we want to talk about it. Hit us up. That said, thank you for watching. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com, on social media at Team Objection on YouTube, at youtube.com/Objection Network, where you can find our own Kingdom Hearts playthroughs, all three of the main games, as well as our D&D campaign. And finally, send emails to the show to objectionnetwork@gmail.com. See you next time.